Welcome to Podheim, Jiroc's Valheim podcast. Let's give him the business.
Hey everybody, today is May 24th, 2022. I'm your host, Jiroc the Viking, and joining me today are my fellow Vikings, Gwen the Shield Maiden.
Hi.
Jarl Tokas.
Hey yo.
Shield Maiden, Morning Darkness.
Hello.
And joining us for the first time is Viking Gorthar.
Hello there.
And Viking Mactovera.
Howdy, everyone.
You ever accidentally eat a bukeberry and give the ground your green business? You lose all your expensive food buffs and hope no one notices you throwing up all over the place. Well, you better hold on because we're going to give you the business too. And hopefully you can keep your food down with this one.
You.
I don't want to give people diarrhea, Jiroc. What they do?
Diarrhea? That's the wrong end.
I mean,
Where are you putting those bukeberries, Tulkas?
Yeah, man.
I mean, the way you said it, just come on.
Oh my god.
I think next time somebody's in game with Tulkas, they have to show them where the bukeberries go.
It just sounds like we're giving people food poisoning.
Well, that's a colorful start to this episode.
Yeah.
All the different shapes of, like 50 shades of green. There we go.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
A lot to process for sure.
I can't laugh this hard. It hurts.
So if you're still with us, let's move on.
Well, today we're going to start off with some announcements recognizing our two new co-hosts today. And Morning Darkness, can you start us off with that?
Yes, I can. Sorry.
Can you do it today?
Wow. I was looking at a different document. All right. Okay. So, you got Gorthar and Mactovera, I should say, are our community managers. Gorthar, what's your gaming history? Favorite games before you found Valheim, of course.
Okay, so my gaming history is quite short. I used to play Assassin's Creed a lot. Go figure. Well, the first ones. The Brotherhood and the original one. And yeah, I used to play that a lot by myself, but eventually I wanted to do co-op with my brother. We found out this game called Valheim by some of YouTube videos. I got hooked. He went away. He went on to a different game. I just stayed behind, completely in love with the game.
And tell us how many hours you've got of the game.
Hold on. I don't want to lie to anyone.
Rough estimate.
By this point, 3,000?
No, not as much.
2,000 something.
2,658.
Nice.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, close enough to free.
How did you find Jiroc's community, and what convinced you to play on his servers?
Okay, so like I said, I found Valheim through a YouTuber, and after I went to that rabbit hole, I actually found Jiroc while I was trying to find out some tricks. I think it was the one regarding comfort, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, one of the comfort videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, I went to play online with other people, went to lots of servers, public servers, private servers, every kind of server, modded, vanilla, everything. And eventually I ended up by just joining up the Body Recovery Squad, which is a group of players that basically lost their mates. The story sounds kind of familiar. They lost their mates and they grouped up in a Discord channel just to help out other people who are in distress within the game. It's like a free service that they provide. In between missions, I saw this video that really got me hooked. A video about Vikings in Valheim just completely going against gigantic creatures, which basically were the skeletons. And it was Jiroc's video regarding the survival server. And I said to myself, this is what I want. And yeah, I came and I didn't leave.
you got curious when we launched our season 1 server then, huh? And the videos
exactly.
for that. Oh, okay, cool.
A few days before the season 1, a week before season 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you joined much earlier than that.
No,
No.
So I guess it would have been around November time?
can't say precisely.
Yeah, he came with the survival tide.
Yeah.
Nice.
Came for the survival, stayed for the fun.
Very cool. And Mactavera, what is your gaming history, favorite games before you found Valheim?
Looking at console games, I used to play, I think the first one I ever did was Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega, way back.
Oh,
when.
Yes, the golden
Got me
ring.
into it, playing with Dad in the basement. After that, probably got into N64, Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, GoldenEye. Following that, I picked up PC gaming and kind of never looked back. I believe on one of the prior podcasts, one of our hosts mentioned Myst. For me, that was
Yes.
definitely the gateway.
Riven. I was for the next one. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, that certainly got me into it. But since then, it's been
Right.
a slew of Blizzard games: StarCraft, Warcraft 3, WoW, Left 4 Dead, CS:GO, and finally Valheim.
All right. And then how did you find Valheim?
It's kind of a funny story. I was extremely resistant to even give it a try. A friend of mine was trying to get me into it, and at the time, I was just dismissing it because my only frame of reference for a survival game was Minecraft,
Oh.
which I'd seen, and I'm like, why are we back in 1980? Like, why would we want to play a game like this? So I dismissed it, and then a couple months later, several friends of mine, through the power of persuasion, said, "Hey, give this a try. Playing tonight." And I joined a random seed, random server. They'd been on for a few days, and we did an iron run in the swamp. And I was just immersed, so impressed with the gameplay. It was so fun. Died a bunch, got poisoned. And I'm like, okay, when are we dying some more? When are we playing again?
So you're one for the punishment, I see.
Yeah, because you learn from your mistakes. You're like, okay, I died to an ooze landing on my head and breathing on me. Okay, how do I avoid this in the future? What can I jump on? What sort of weapon do I want to use? It's fun.
Note to self: don't put ooze on the head.
No.
Well, interesting that a blocky game like Minecraft would turn you off, even though it's the most popular game in the world. There's got to be something to it, right?
Yeah, has to be, yes.
Yeah, I do see Valheim as kind of the next evolution from Minecraft, in that it combines sort of the MMO theme with that survival a little bit more, but has a lot in common. I mean, it doesn't have everything that Minecraft has, but it's pretty cool.
It's so interesting. I never liked Minecraft.
Oh, really?
Me neither.
I could never get into it. I couldn't do the first person perspective, but like everything on top of it, I was just like, this is so not fun.
I think I did 20 meters in Minecraft and just gave up. Couldn't see it. The skyline, I couldn't see anything. I just gave up and said no.
Jiroc is currently dying inside.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jiroc.
If you played Minecraft with me, I'd show you a whole new part of the game that you'd fall in love with, because I played it for years.
I will show you the world. Yes, I had in mind as well.
Whip out the magic carpet.
All right. So, Mac, how did you find Jiroc's community and what convinced you to play on his servers?
I remembered looking up some tips and tricks on YouTube for, like what mobs are vulnerable to what. How do I fight better? And I think the first one I had to look in my history. I think the first one I ever came across was like the vulnerability against different mobs, or it might have been the cart in the water building a dock trick video. One of those two. So saw those videos and just subscribed. Saw other ones that came through, and then eventually an Undead Fortress video got released of a bunch of people riding in on Loxes, battling a bunch of undead, roaming in and out of a castle. And I thought, wait a minute, how are they doing this? Did they like create this content? I haven't seen this in the game. So dug into it and watched a few more videos and before I knew it, I was subscribing and dove in.
Yeah, that was one of our earliest events, and Tulkas had the idea for that. And yeah, I still remember that event fondly. I believe it's still out there in the world too, that location, right, Tulkas?
Oh yeah, I think I changed the place. I think it's now called Helm's Deep, I think.
Our personal battleground.
Yeah,
we might have to do a follow-up event there with Lox's riding in, given the business.
Well, yeah, sure, you can. It looks a bit much different.
Yeah, back then I didn't even have the mods that I have now to be in admin mode. I just we took the server down, I spawned everything in, and then I brought the server back up, and then that was it. They just went and fought the stuff that was there. Yep.
No, it was just 4 people, I think. Yeah, no, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
In total, not 20.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, the good old days.
Back then when we were young. half a year ago.
Old people.
Yes, 24 years old, already feeling like an old man. Getting wiser.
We'll have to calculate how old we are in Valheim years.
9,000 years.
Judging by the hour.
We're probably as old as Yoda.
So I was wondering if anybody did anything interesting over the last week or weekend before we get into the rest of our Valheim stuff. I found a festival this weekend. Just last minute, we were looking for something to do over the weekend, and we found something called the Hangtown Wild West and Steampunk Festival. It's about an hour and a half. Yeah, it was about an hour and a half. I love these little festivals where people dress up like, the Renaissance Fair. We have a Dickens Fair here too, and during the holidays. Try to attend my first Viking fair, but it's in Southern California where I have to travel about 8 hours to get to, but if I drive, that is. But yeah, so this weekend it was a small festival, which was nice, and the attendance was kind of light. I'm not really sure why, but it just made it actually even more fun because we didn't have to deal with big crowds and got to see people dressed up in their old Wild West outfits and doing these skits and reenactments and gun shoots and all the vendors with Wild West and steampunk stuff. People running around in their steampunk costumes got pretty elaborate, big like old like robotic arms and backpacks and facial attachments and hats and all kinds of stuff. So that was kind of fun. And then they had live bands there that we listened to for hours. They sounded great. So it was a lot of fun, and it was kind of hot, so I didn't wear my cowboy boots because guys in shorts and cowboy boots doesn't really look right.
Did you at least have a cowboy hat?
Of course, I wore my cowboy hat.
Good.
Yeah.
That sounds so fun, though. I would love to see pictures if you took any.
Yeah, we didn't take a lot of our own pictures because I just got caught up on everything that was going on. It's like kind of one of my things. My wife always say, take pictures. I say, I take pictures for a living. I just want to sit here and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
I could definitely post the link to the website. They've got a lot of pictures. It's pretty fun. But what about you, Tulkas? Over the last week or two, you have some big news, don't you?
Yeah, I got promoted to a sous chef at the restaurant that I work at.
Nice
one.
Can you explain what that means to our listeners who might not be familiar with that term?
Well, I work as a chef for a living, and a sous chef is basically a French name for like a assistant head chef or like second in charge.
Oh, nice.
So like when the head chef is not in the business, that's basically me. My responsibility to keep things in check.
Look out.
Yeah. Kind of like a best man.
That's pretty exciting.
Recently I just really busy with the reopening that's going to happen on the 25th of June in a month. Yeah, from tomorrow it's going to be exactly a month.
Nice.
Gonna be intense. Yeah. We're going to have the focus will be on a bar, cocktails, going to be a modern feeling in the room, and we are investing into a smoker to have some brisket, spare ribs, etc.
So wait, wasn't the restaurant before the change wasn't it a vegan restaurant?
Yes, it was.
Did it just go
Completely
completely?
opposite.
Made a huge U-turn.
We totally went into all the way into the other direction.
I'll definitely have to visit if I come back out to Germany. I loved Germany when I was there a few years ago.
Sure, let me know when you guys come over, and then you can make sure you get a table and proper treatment.
Yeah.
Being friends of the chef, etc.
Yeah.
Good.
How much is it to fly to Germany?
Yeah, I know. Start looking up plane tickets prices now. Well, what about you, Gwen? Did you do anything fun over the last week?
Yeah, on the weekend I went up to London to visit a friend from France who was visiting with his girlfriend. So it was lovely. I hadn't seen him since before the pandemic, so it had been a while. So yeah, we caught up over brunch, and then after that I did some exploration in London because although I live really close, before I used to work in London and commute every day, but now that I am fully remote and working from home, I don't go up to London that often. So when I am there, I try to always squeeze in a bit of either visiting a museum or going to a place that I want to visit in London and just, make the most out of the trip. So this time I went to a hidden gem in London that's right by the Tower of London, which is where the crown jewels are hidden and guarded. And so it's like maybe a 5-10 minute walk, and it's called St. Dunstan in the East Church Gardens. And what it is essentially a church, beautiful, actually 12th century church that was unfortunately destroyed during the World War II, during the Blitz. But you still have some ruins, some parts of the church that are standing, including walls with the big Gothic style windows. And because after the war, they were like, well, it's no point trying to rebuild this church. They decided to turn it into public gardens. And it's this beautiful, tiny public garden with these ruins of a church, Gothic style with vines growing everywhere. It's beautiful. And it's this really hidden kind of place that not many people know about. And it's just super pretty and super nice. So went to check that out in person. It inspired me for builds in Valheim, as everything does. I wish we could have vines in Valheim so we could do stuff like this. But yeah, it was really nice to go check that out. And then Sunday is usually my reenactment training day. So got hit with sticks, hit people with sticks. Got bruises, the usual.
A lot of sticky sticks involved.
Yeah, it was fun. This session was fun because there was quite a few people joining, and I managed to grab a friend to join as well. So yeah, we did some good fighting. But yeah, my thumb and my elbow hurt. I got hit twice, right in the not bruised too badly though, but yeah, it's fine. I'll recover before the next session, so all good.
Yeah, you can't practice fighting with a weapon without getting some bruises of some sort.
Yeah, exactly.
I got some really bad ones when I was doing fencing back then as well. It's
fine. You accept that risk when you take on any type of martial arts or sports like that.
All right.
Try a toddler.
Or a toddler, yeah.
Or that.
Don't give that toddler a sword.
Oh,
God.
Well, Gorth, how about yourself? Did you do anything fun over the last week or weekend?
The weekend wasn't that good to go outside because we had kind of a bit of a sandstorm blow over from the north of Africa here. So it was basically an inside weekend. So my kid is always running around here in the house, going back and forth, doing his kid business. He's about 6 years old. Well, he's 6 years old. And during the weekend, he asked me to see if he could play Valheim.
Oh, yes!
I was actually surprised how quickly he picked it up.
How old is he?
6.
Oh, wow.
He was able to... First, I had to teach him how to use the camera and then to use the movement. But after 5 minutes, he was jumping through some obstacles that I laid out in a track for him.
Oh, nice.
They're not just like stopping, jumping, and going forward. He's just going forward, jumping, and going mid-flight in the right direction.
There's always two, no more, no less. A master and a disciple.
Indoctrinate.
Gotta start them on it early.
Yeah, right?
His favorite activity basically is chopping down trees, and he really wants to build rugs for some reason. He keeps on asking me how to build. No, I only have this one.
Oh, you might have to get a startup one for your son.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Maybe.
And
if he behaves.
Gorth, what part of the world do you live in? What country?
I'm Portuguese, and I live in Portugal, by the capital.
Ah, okay. Nice. I like to let the listeners know where our members are from, because they are from all around the world, so that's awesome. And
this is Europe, but we do get some weather from Africa here.
Oh yeah.
And Mac de Vera, or Mac for short, anything fun over the last week or weekend?
Yeah. My girlfriend and I went to a local art festival called Art-A-Whirl, where it's kind of spread out over many, many blocks. People have art on the street. It's in actual studios, all kinds, from, metal soldered sculptures to paint to photography, tons of fun. And they had food trucks there, which I'm obsessed with. And I found one food truck that I had been looking for over a year. It's a British one, and they make pasties, which, for the listeners who don't know, it's basically like a breaded English pastry with meat and vegetables within.
Like a Hot Pocket.
Yeah.
Similar, but
much harder.
But much better, too.
Yeah, and like when I was saying, I was eating it, and I was thinking, okay, let's see. Flour, cloudberries, what else should I have?
Beef, boar meat.
Gotta be similar to a lox pie.
Yeah, I get to I was just going to say, I get to eat pasties about once a year when I go to the Dickens Fair, because they have, it's all the English stuff in the era of Charles Dickens. So, yep, I get my one a year pasty, and it's not bad.
Do you guys know the history behind it? Like how it came to be?
No.
Please tell us.
So over here we call them Cornish pasties because they are from Cornwall, which is the bottom left corner of England. And it's surrounded by sea, and it's very much where there was a lot of fishing and a lot of sea-based commerce. And so the Cornish pasty was basically what fishermen used to take out for lunch on the sea back a couple of centuries ago. And that's why it's completely like the outer layer is pasty, because that kept the food inside clean and good to eat. So they would take those pasties and they would probably, I don't know, maybe they will eat the what do you call it? The pasty around it as well. But mostly you kind of open it and the thing inside is what you want to eat, because that's all the nice vegetables cooked up with meat and stuff like that. But of course, nowadays we eat the whole thing. But yeah, it's like basically fisherman's food.
It's an eco lunchbox.
And in case they would run out of cannonballs, they can use those as well.
Yeah, because it's like hard as a rock. So
because it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a container. So it needs to be resistant a bit.
Shrapnel ammunition can explode when it hits the targets.
It's so funny. I've always heard them called as pasties instead of pasties. So I'm really glad that Gwen kind of switched. Yeah.
Well, what about you, Morning Darkness? Anything fun over this weekend? Maybe with some dungeons and some dragons?
Yeah, I know. I was asking the server. I was like, "Does anyone want to help me playtest my D&D game on Sunday?" No one responded.
Oh, really?
Until today. I know I almost tagged you, Jiroc, but I think you were at the festival.
Yeah, I was.
But yeah, I did a play test because we're doing a big game event at a local game convention this weekend for Memorial Day.
Nice.
Oh, it's so stressful though.
Which one? What is that one called?
KublaCon.
So I might actually be there.
Really?
Yeah, I have a friend coming up from Southern
You might
California.
finally meet.
I know, we're 5 minutes away, but we have to go all the way out to this KublaCon thing. It's like an hour and a half away to meet in person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you do end up showing up, I'm gonna DM you my phone number so you can text me if you show up, and I'll tell you where I am.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have a friend coming up from Southern California who's going to be doing something there all weekend, and we might hook up with him. So yeah, I'll definitely let you know.
Oh, that'll be so much fun. Well, if you do show up, you should totally come to the GUI game show.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically an audience watching people playing dungeon crawl, but you get called up from the audience for different sections. So it's sort of like it's a game show.
Yeah.
It's a game show, and they call up players from the audience, and we're helping do the terrain setup for that.
Oh, nice.
So really what my weekend has been focused on, unfortunately, has been we were sort of counting on KublaCon having some like very special terrain, and apparently they sold it like 2 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic. So it's like $10,000 worth of terrain that they just went up and sold. And I'm like, I get why it was a business decision, but we were sort of told that they still had it because not everyone knew that it had been sold. So right now, my entire focus, like for the rest of the week, is painting, terrain creation, making sure that the buildings look professional grade. Like
that sounds
so I'm doing
awesome.
a lot of painting and dry brushing. Sort of balls and boobs to the wall. Like, sorry for the graphic.
It's a great visual.
I beg your pardon?
Like total, like all hands on deck. Willow is actually inviting some of her friends over to help me paint. Like it's like all hands on deck. Get this done. So my next weekend is going to be much more interesting than this last one. But my playtest went well. I found out everything that I was thinking about doing was wrong, so I have to retool it a bit. But that's why we playtest.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was still fun.
Oh yeah. I was going to say too that it's probably nice to get out of the digital world sometimes and do all this fun stuff, hands-on with stuff actually tangible in real life too, instead of just tapping on the keyboard and mouse.
I tried to do a hybrid.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out as well.
Well, you got to practice and try different things to see what works.
Yeah.
Cool.
But,
I look forward to hearing about your future upcoming weekends. We may both have some stories to share about KublaCon.
Yes.
So we're going to talk briefly about some of the new videos that a few of us have posted. I did get the Valheim bear trap video out right after the podcast recording from last week. So that came out last week. That's kind of fun. And then I recently, a couple days ago, released a video showing how I make new custom dungeons.
Yes.
Yeah. So I go into any one of the dungeons in the game and I delete everything that's there, including the dungeon itself. And then I build
then you let people walk inside.
Yeah. But yeah, then I build my own custom dungeon at those, at that white portal where you go in and out once you're inside. But you get to go in from the outside through one of those natural cave entrances. But when you're inside, you're in my dungeon. And I have a mod that allows me to copy build. So once I build it, I can build rooms and hallways and all this fun stuff and build custom dungeons. And the players really seem to like it. We did run into a little bit of a hitch during the event this week, but I think I've got it refined for anybody else who wants to go through the POIs this week. But we'll talk about that more. Mac did that. We'll talk about that more a little bit later, though. And I just want to take a quick break from the show to share with you one of my sponsors, the Grimfrost, an amazing company that sells really, really cool Viking products. They have over 1,000 different modern and historical Viking products. If you're interested, you should check them out. I have a link in the description, or you can go to my website, jiroctheviking.com/Grimfrost. Now back to the show. And Morning, you did a couple of new videos over the last week, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, just a couple, because once again, I'm kind of having to take the rest of this week off from streaming. But I did do a no map run, and we had a guest star on our no map, and she seemed to really like it. She's like, "Can I come back?"
Oh, well, that's a good sign.
You know, it's so funny because I have so many people who are like, no map, why? It sounds so, I get so lost.
I'll do
it. Right, yeah. All right, let's arrange a time for you to join us. It might be a little late for you, Gwen, but I would love for you to come as a guest.
And you, just to confirm or to let the audience know, you do that over on Twitch, right? Your no map stream
on Twitch. Yeah.
Morning Darkness, if you're looking her up with 5s instead of S's.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Morning Darkness by 5.
I think when I typed Morning Darkness, though, it still suggested you. So they must know
good.
To switch the S to 5 and back and forth. But
yeah. And then I was working on a castle build creative mode for the game that I play tested this last weekend so that I could have them do sort of the waltz puzzle in an actual 3D modeled space. And I was trying to do some other things, just for really nice, high quality visuals.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I did do a couple of build videos too.
Nice. And those were streamed on Twitch or YouTube?
Always on Twitch. I'm not really on YouTube. Yeah. I leave YouTube for like you and Gwen and Metaroon.
Yeah. No, it's good to have someone with a presence over there representing. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Gwen, why don't you tell us about some Valheim news over the last week?
Yeah. So we saw yesterday, Iron Gate announced over on social media that Valheim got named Best Debut at the Nordic Games Awards last week. So congratulations for yet another award.
Yeah, congratulations. Really cool.
Yeah, it's probably a big deal for them because of course all of them are most of them are from Sweden. So winning an award in their own region is probably quite satisfying, being recognized as well. And with all the obviously the heritage that goes into Vikings and stuff like that, and being related to the Nordic countries and all of that, that's pretty cool. I'm sure they are really chuffed with that. And yeah, that's kind of the only big news that we got since the Bear Trap one, I believe.
The only big news, but there was a little comment made by Jonathan in a reply to Christy on Twitter. Did you get a chance to see that one?
No. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Gaming with Christy, who has a great YouTube channel. If you don't know her, you should check her out for sure. And she just asked the question about the Bear Trap video that they released. She asked, is this part of the base defense stuff y'all had talked about, or is it the side project that you were working on? And Jonathan replied, yeah, it's some of the base defenses coming with Mistlands. Just some.
Okay, so to unpick this, two things. Some, meaning there's more base defenses coming. And second, that confirms that Bear Trap is coming with the Mistlands update.
Yes.
Because we weren't sure if it would come out with Mistlands or if it would be a separate content patch before then.
Yep, exactly. And I do remember one of them when we talked to, in one of our podcasts, I think it was, mentioning something about base defense things as well. And at the time, we didn't really know what that would be. But we know it's bear traps, and we know that there are some more things.
Maybe some spikes, some raising spikes. I don't know.
Think bigger.
Like
Come
the ones
on.
we have.
Catapults, ballistas.
Yeah, ballista.
Yeah,
I think.
but that's sieging.
I'm
That's
thinking
siege
about
stuff. That's different.
hot-
That's offensive, not defensive.
Depends on how
Oh,
big the
ballistas
thing
we
that's
used
trying to
in
break into your
defense.
base.
hot oil pots. I don't know.
Attack is the best defense.
Right, but remember, with all things that they're creating,
Yes.
it means that there's a need for them.
That's what's just going to go there, Morning. I'm so glad you did.
Are bears confirmed, ladies and gentlemen? Bears confirmed?
No, but if they're
confirmed.
doing so many more base defenses, it means that we're going to have mobs that are like even scarier than the horde is attacking.
Maybe some bear moths. I don't know.
Oh God!
Actually, that's
Instead of owlbears.
yeah. Well, the only base defense that we don't have yet is base aerial, aerial base defense against things that are flying. Because now we have Drake raids. We have Desquitos that fly, and we have now the bats. You stirred the cauldron.
The evil bats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then if we know that there's moths coming, so that's another flying mob. So I wonder if some of those base defenses would be things to protect your base against flying things. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
They're not very offensive. They're a bit defensive.
Yeah. You can
But
You have the big walls, everything ready, and then just all the windmills standing around it.
It works. It does work, especially against Desquitos.
Yeah, forget walls. Just put windmills all over the place.
Yeah, I hope they do something more with the raid system. It's pretty basic right now, and it seems to fit the basic game that came out last year before Valheim exploded and got so big. But I hope that they're going to expand on it. And there's probably going to be another couple of new raids because of the new biome. But I'm also hoping that the raid system itself gets tweaked to be a little more dangerous, even because usually they're pretty easy to deal with, unless it's bats and they just kill all your livestock. That's kind of hard to deal with.
You always say that, Jiroc.
Do the windmills work against bats as well?
Yeah.
They might.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
How does that work? Does it just keep them away, or?
No, just shut them.
It smacks them.
They just run into it and they go poof.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
So your boar pen and your wolf pens should be surrounded with a fence of windmills then, right?
Yes.
As long as there's wind, you should be fine.
Awesome.
Otherwise, it's just a bunch of windmills standing in a circle.
You know what I'd like to see?
What's that?
I'd like to see a raid that incorporates something like a mini boss at the end of the 2 or 3 minutes or whatever it is. Something a little more challenging, almost like something is beckoning the horde towards your base, and then finally at the end, there it is, the orchestrator.
Yeah,
or maybe that actually visits your house. Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Or maybe just like one big challenger coming to your door. I don't know. The mad berserker is attacking you or something like that.
Johnny the mad berserker is at your door.
It should knock on your gate and say mead or fight, and then you have to choose.
You have to pay tribute, or you have to fight him.
Well, I just had a thought about the base defense stuff, which would work with one of the materials that we all suspect we'll get with the Mistlands, which could be silk. We could have nets, and nets could protect. You could put them to protect livestock and stuff like that, but also nets for fishing more efficiently.
They did talk about wanting a new fishing mechanic. I forget who that was.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Grimcore or someone was saying.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Maybe we can use that one to move the tamed animals around instead of relying on the harpoon.
Carry them, yeah.
Love my harpoon.
Yeah, but it's a bit nicer to catch your pets with a net instead of just throwing a 2 meter long spear through their bodies to drag them somewhere.
Yeah.
Simpler would be just to give them the same behavior as the wolf. You could just call them and they would follow you.
Yeah, that's weird. Why didn't
simple enough?
Yeah, why didn't they do that in the beginning? Huh?
If you make a smart pig, they'll take over the world.
Of course.
You'll never make a smart locks.
Well, we're going to go on and talk about some server events and updates that over the last week. And of course, this week was the Great Folding, where our resource server resets every 2 weeks with a new world and a new seed. So for the players to have new resources and a new world to explore. And we like to do an event or a new point of interest. And that new point of interest was the custom dungeon burial chamber. And originally I placed it in the Black Forest just because it seemed to fit the Black Forest because it was going off the burial chamber theme. And that was a mistake because the Black Forest while one of the most beautiful, probably the most beautiful of all the biomes, it's beautiful because it has so much stuff in it, which makes a lot of instances. So we had a lot of lag, and I basically had to shut down the event halfway through because there was too much lag. And then I went with Kondo, one of our other admins. With Kondo's help, we went out to the old Mistlands where it's empty, and we just placed some trees and some spider webs to give it some mood, and then we placed a burial chamber out there, and then I put my custom dungeon there. But that whole process took another hour. So but people still got to do it, and one of those people, at least one of those people who did that is here. So Mac, once we got the new one set up, how did it go? What was your impressions of it?
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Gothar was in attendance too. He had to bug out because he was struggling with the lag like we all were. But those of us who had time to stay on got to see some pretty funny things with the latency, like Vikings warping all over the place as a corpse and then finally ending up somewhere. But once we got into the new space, it was so fun. I mean, imagine dark, creepy, tons of detail with stones like falling in rubble on a skeleton body where there was clearly something that happened, and then you peek around a jute curtain, and then there's a 2-star berserker with a hammer waiting to murder you and one shot you. So, very entertaining.
I remember flying across the room a couple of times. Being smacked in the face and completely just hysterically laughing.
And an aspect of the game was kind of I meant to tell you this, Jiroc. You did something that really had to change strategy, because a lot of these events we have, like Gothar and myself, were typically archers supporting from the back. It was so close quarters with fueling shamans that it just added a much higher layer of difficulty, chucking fireballs at you in close quarters. So it was interesting, and we had to get creative.
I did it today, and I had to completely change my setup and my food as well.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
interesting with a capital I.
Yeah, I was able to reset that dungeon to be played twice, and the players have already played it twice, so I need to go out and reset it again.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did it earlier on. I was able to do it during my lunch break.
Awesome.
Grabbed a couple of the guys, and we just went in there. It was great fun.
So,
a few more times, but it was fun.
How was the level of difficulty, Garth, for you, for the group you went, and how many people did you go in with?
It was going in. It was 3 of us. It was doable. We got to the end in about half an hour.
Okay, that's a good adventure then. A half an hour of play with three friends. That's awesome.
Great lunch break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a chest at the end, and it's not just to clear. What Jiroc did is he actually added like 9 chests kind of hidden in walls and behind structures for what we call artifact fragments that once collected can be turned in for a prize that can be a piece of a transmog item after I think 10 Jiroc is what you put in place. So that's just a fun part to some kind of reward based currency that I thought was important to mention.
Yeah, something to look forward to in the future, and this way everybody gets a piece of the reward rather than there just being one item and rolling randomly to see who gets it. Everybody can build up and eventually get something fun after a while.
I do really like how you've been doing that.
Yeah.
Same.
Requires a little bit of admin interaction because we have to respawn the POI, but that's easier than having to run like an hour or 2 hour event. So that's awesome for us admins. And then we do just go to the chest. I try to go to the chests once a day or every other day and replace the daggers that they found with their reward dagger. And then that one is the one they'll keep and turn in when they get 10 of them for a special prize. So people seem to like it.
How many has it been just yet?
3?
This is the third one. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so. I've gotten 1.
Yeah. Well, So this one will be reset a couple of times again before the next reset in 2 weeks. So there'll be some opportunities to do it for those who want to try it. And even if you haven't and you're not a big combat person like Gwen might enjoy seeing it because they're decorated really nicely. And actually, I'd love to get some of your feedback on how we could decorate it even more. But there are vines all over the place, and that's one of the things I think you might find cool. So how we used vines. I actually got the idea from Bane because he built one of the dungeon rooms that are there, and I saw the way he used vines, and I said, "That's it. From now on, I'm doing everything he just did with vines."
Yeah. Well, I was thinking if it's because my problem with some of those events is I don't have that much time to play, and if the event is over an hour, it's too much for me. But if Gortha, you said that you did it in half an hour, yeah, I might try it tonight if it's being reset.
Yeah.
Gwen,
If you guys want to do
do
it
it together.
There you go.
Yeah, we can. If after this recording, if you want, we could do it.
Yeah.
You guys have my backup if you want to.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
And just for those who have done it before, well, make sure you don't tell them which way to go or where to find the chest. Let's see if they, give them the fun of doing that. I remember Vaste, one of the players on our server, one of our community managers, he was running around during the event, and every time he found a chest somewhere, he was so excited because of the way it was hidden that he found it, that he was just like chuckling like a school kid, just like giddy as a school kid. It was so fun to hear his reaction.
It also resulted in his death several times because he ran past mobs to get it. Guys, I got it.
Well, yeah, that one time he said, oh, wait, there's a chest right here. It has a dagger in it. Oh, I'm dead. And then he just started laughing. It was fun. But the other thing, the big news that we've got coming up, that just happened is I hit 9,000 subscribers on YouTube recently.
Woohoo!
Nice one.
Hey.
Congrats.
Yeah, I remember celebrating, I think, like the 2000 mark back when Gwen and Tolkas were on this, first joined the server. So we've come a long ways there too. And we plan to do a face reveal podcast when I hit 10, which is going to happen probably in the next few weeks. So we'll have to start planning for that. And I'm kind of excited to see how that turns out.
Damn, does that mean I need to get a haircut?
Haircut, yeah.
If that's so, I'm out. I'm not shaving. Forget about it.
Well, no, you need to work on your beard. You've got the opposite. You need to let the beard grow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is what I've been doing. Only the second time in my life that I've grown out my beard. So
yeah, you have to match your profile picture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it used to be a little bit more red when that profile picture was made. It's a little more white now.
Yeah, you can dye it.
There you go. There you go.
No, you've earned those gray hairs.
Yes, exactly.
Wear them proudly.
Well, there is one of our favorite segments, things you'd like to see changed in game, and Morning Darkness is going to lead us off with that.
Am I really?
Yes.
I honestly, I can't think of like anything that I really want to see changed in game, but I will say that I know that they have promised more armor sets. And so I am really, really, really looking forward to the different armors that they come out with and what they look like and all of that.
Yeah, and I think that they mentioned before that armors were going to be side grades, not necessarily upgrades. So padded might be the toughest, most protective that we'll ever see, and the rest will be side grades from all the different various armors with abilities.
Buffs, probably, yeah.
I'm kind of hoping it's that way so it doesn't make all the other armors obsolete.
With the armors they've been releasing lately, it seems like that's the tendency.
Yeah. And
it's all lower tier armor with some kind of extra buff that's going to change your gameplay. Mm-hmm. I'm not seeing them going over padded either.
Well, maybe we'll finally have the tanky armor that Tolkas is dreaming about at night.
Yeah.
Well, not only at night, but
at breakfast, at lunch, at dinner.
Tank dreams all over.
Yeah.
Tolkas and tank dreams.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think that the mechanic that's sneaking costs stamina is pretty stupid. I mean, why would it be more exhausting to sneak in comparison to walking. It's just
Well, have you tried crouching like that and walking 10 meters? I mean, that's a workout for your quads.
It's exhausting. It's really exhausting.
I do it in my CrossFit class, and it is tough as heck.
It can be tough, but it's not in comparison to sprinting. Like, you know, it's just I feel like people would use more sneak attacks if you could. I would just change instead of the armor. I don't know, like decreasing the stamina costs. I would maybe make the armor make the sneaking itself more effective. So like it doesn't cost stamina to sneak, but you're getting exposed much quicker than you would usually.
Okay,
maybe something like that. Because sneaking around in full metal armor is not
very sneaky.
Not very effective, but then in troll leather, it would be the way to go.
Or in the Fenris armor.
Oh yeah, exactly. Then the armor set would influence your gameplay as well.
Yeah. What about you, Mac? What would you like to see changed in game if there was a magic button you could push and you didn't have to do any of the work to change it?
So this might already be fixable in the game. I truly don't know. I haven't looked into it, but have you ever been trying to build when close to water or the shore? You're looking up, maybe you're constructing a dock, and your building cursor is just all over the place, and you just can't get it to lock because it keeps moving. It's like a water thing. Has anyone experienced that?
Oh, the drowned rat syndrome.
When you're in the water, you mean?
Yeah.
It's that piece where if there was a way to change that so that your view wasn't impacted by the rising and falling tide, as well as mountable boars, because who wouldn't want that?
You just snuck in a second one you'd want changed.
You sure did. I just thought of it. We need it.
Mountable boars would be fun. There is a mod for that, so we might see that on one of our modded servers, but yeah.
The mod addict in me is everything you guys saying is thinking about the same thing. There's a mod for that.
Yeah.
There's a mod for that. And there's also a mod for and there's also one for that one. The mod community is great.
Armor for pets would be something.
Ooh.
Oh my god! Armor! Tiny chainmail for tiny piggies. That's amazing.
Yeah, to protect from those bat raids.
Oh, that would be so cute.
Could you imagine seeing your little baby piggy running around with little baby piggy armor?
Yeah.
That would be.
Oh my
That
word.
would be so fun.
I mean, people are dressing up their dogs in real life. Why not doing the same in Valheim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what happens when that baby piggy turns into an adult, then the armor falls off? Or
That's just equipping a saddle, equipping a piece of armor, and then it's more likely to survive your next mosquito attack, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. We need Locke's armor and Locke's carts, and then Valheim will be complete.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
There is a mod for Locke's carts as well.
Of course there is.
Of course.
You got to find that mod for Locke's armor and animal armor.
Yeah, the Locke's armor could look something like the bear armor from the movie Golden Compass.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes. In that sense, that would be beautiful.
Yay, someone else watched that movie.
Yeah.
Even though it was
I think
kind of
there
bad.
were 4 or 5 people out there that have seen that movie. It didn't do very well. That's why they never made a sequel.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Gorth? What would you like to see changed if you could?
This is just a personal preference because not only my game style, but also what I do in my clan. I would love for arrows to be pickable. The arrows that you shoot, the ones that get stuck on the trees, that get stuck on everything. It would be so cool if we could just pick them up again.
Or at least have a chance to, right? Maybe if it's not a 100% chance that the arrow survives, maybe 50%, 30%. Hell, I'll even take 5% because right now...
I'll even take just the wood arrow back.
Yeah.
It's something because that way if every single shot miss is just time wasted building those arrows. So yeah, it would be nice to be able to get them back.
I don't know about that one actually. I think it would be too overpowered. You could just recover your strong arrows.
No, I'm saying you could recover something lower than your arrow.
Yeah.
Oh, like recycling some of the materials.
Even that would be great to get some of the materials back.
Well, do you find harvesting feathers or farming for feathers quite a chore, or do you generally have enough feathers just from running around?
I obsessively shoot at birds in game. So I can't see one pass by without shooting it. So I always have a good amount of feathers. Between that and the ones that are provided by the clan, we always have a good stack of feathers.
That's a good idea. Instead of just getting your full arrow back, because it is a survival game, and survival games are mostly about, using up resources and then needing to go and get other resources. Yeah, it seems like getting your entire arrow back would not work for a survival game because it would take away some of the survival aspect. But once in a while, getting a feather back or even the head of the arrow, whatever that component is, right? The needle or obsidian or flint or whatever, that might be fun. Awesome idea. And yes. Oh, broken weapons. Yeah, that would be awesome to decorate with.
That would be something instead of if the skeletons would drop broken weapons.
Yeah.
That you could mount somewhere. Yeah, we should probably move on. Otherwise, I'm just going to start throwing ideas into the room here.
What about you, Gwen? What would you change if you could?
I would like to be able to sculpt and craft more decorative items. A bit like, I quite like the ward and what it looks like, because it's this kind of wooden statue. But of course, the ward is not really a decorative item. You can use it as that, but you always run the risk of someone activating it or something. But I would love to see more items like that we could sculpt or craft, and that are smaller than the big statues that we have in the game. Because wood carving is quite a Viking thing, so it would be nice. And I think we talked a lot of times about carving, being able to carve runes as well. So, it's in the same kind of category of nice, fits with the lore, fits with the history, and it would be a cool thing to do to add more decorations in game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we all like the movie Ghost, just sitting there doing the pottery.
Tolkien's with the movie references today.
Yeah, that was a very Viking ceremony they did there, wasn't it?
I mean, I missed a podcast session, so I have all the ideas stuck in my head. I have to just get rid of them.
Yeah, there are, of course, there's a couple of mods out there that add some fun decorative items like that. But it would be wonderful to see some of that in the base game. For myself, one of the things I'd love to see change, and I do use a mod for this on our server, and that is more tameable animals and creatures in the game, specifically the neck. I mean, come on. The neck is so adorable. It's just, there's even plushies that you can buy. And yeah, I would love to see the neck tameable by default, but I have a mod that allows me to tame them for the players on the server, and that's quite fun. Also be fun to get like a Grey Dwarf friend who, mans your trading stand or something like we have
to help you carry the wood,
like George in Naomi.
Yeah, we have a Grey Dwarf named George in Naomi. He has this little market stand, or is it like a visitor stand, like an info stand?
Visitor center.
Visitor center. Yeah.
I found him roaming about sometimes.
George of the jungle.
Yeah, and definitely like a skeleton or something to be a bartender.
Yes.
Yeah, which I have one in Haldor's shop. There's a skeleton bartender there. But yeah.
Oh my god! I just thought, your idea, the customized dungeons. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be super cool to have like an underground bar that's set in a customized dungeon with skeletons as bartenders?
Yes, that'd be awesome.
That would be cool. Yeah,
sounds like a new community build underway. Well, go over to the wonderful world of mods, where we just talk about one of our favorite mods and a specific feature from that mod. And we're going to start with Mactavera. Mactavera, is there a feature from a mod out there that you really love?
Absolutely. So I'm not as crazy as Gorth by knowing all mods and trying out everything available. I usually only stick to what we're allowed to use on the server, but for those of you who know me, having that no rain damage is so paramount to my time because I have to just repair everything. If I see it's damaged, I have to fix it.
A little OCD about it.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. And then I also just really want to also mention the clock mod. I love seeing approximately how many minutes I have till dawn, till dusk, because with the way the world changes and the mob spawns, if I'm shipping over wolves across the open sea and it's 5 p.m., well, I better find shore or else I'm going to see serpents. That's kind of fun.
Awesome. Awesome mod. How about you, Morning? What feature from a mod do you really love?
I love the resizing option on the all stand all items.
Item stand all items, yeah.
Yeah, I love what people are doing on the server. Like, just some of the pictures are an absolute blast.
Yep.
So I'm really enjoying having learned about that previously existing new to me option and feature on that mod of Yara's mod. Like, oh my gosh, it's so fantastic.
Yeah, I think most of us were unaware that it had that ability that you could resize objects that were on an item stand until we interviewed the modder last week, and he pointed that out to us. And I don't think there's actually a limit. I can install the mod on the server and assign a limit to how many times bigger you can make it. But I'm just wondering if I'm going to run by like a mountain and see 100-meter.
It doesn't work. I tried.
Oh, so what's the biggest you can size something? Of course you tried it.
I tried to cover a mountain with Motor's head, but you can only see as far as your draw distance.
Yeah. So what's the biggest size you can make it?
If you move away from the item stand, you stop seeing the item.
Well, you still must be able to make it pretty big, though.
You can make it quite big. You can make it quite huge.
I think my favorite item to resize is going to be the chain.
Ooh.
Mandos has been playing with 1,000 and something like that, and it's colossal.
Of course, Jiroc is wooing with his chain fetish.
What would you do with the chain, Morning, if you could resize it and make it big?
I would do like ship builds that are fake, and then use the chains as sort of anchoring chains.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That's a good idea. Or you could use them also for, how do you call them? Those big medieval drawing bridge. No.
A drawbridge, yeah.
Yes. Drawbridge. Yeah, not drawing bridge. Yeah, you could do that. You could have the chain. I've been thinking of ways to do that with the all items
item stand
mod.
All items, yeah.
But yeah, that name. But the problem is you have to link, if you want to attach multiple chains and make it look like it's one continual chain, you can't really do that unless you've got a support to put the item stand on. But now with the sizing mod, of course, the resizing feature, you can do that.
Not just resizing, you can reposition, and you can draw it away from the item stand. You can actually have it in one on the ground and have something just floating in the air.
Yeah, that's really cool. I would say, though, that all these resizing and adjustments are not visible to people who don't use the mod, of course. But as I found out, they're also not visible to people who use the mod but haven't activated the feature to resize. So I have the mod, and I was walking through someone's build, and they were trying to show me what they had done with the resizing, and I was like, I don't see it. It's not resized for me. I just see the normal items. And yeah, it turns out people have to activate the feature in their config files to be able to see the resizing that the other people have done as well.
Yeah, it's called the transformations option. You just turn that on and then you can see it. So yeah. I might have to install that mod on the server and limit the size if there are people who have 1,000 times the size of things floating around out there. But we'll see how much it gets out of hand.
It doesn't seem to be increasing the instances because it's the same object just resized.
Oh yeah. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, exactly. And didn't Bambi build with the serpent meat and the serpent trophy, like a full size or maybe even bigger serpent?
A full size serpent coming up stairways with serpent meat, with a serpent head, and another item. I can't remember what it was, but it looks brilliant. It just looks like a serpent coming out of water completely.
Nice. I might have to do a video on that. Well,
We've
Gorth,
been doing some crazy stuff.
We know you love mods too. What's a single feature from one of the mods that you you really like?
There's a mod that I've been playing with a bit, thinking a bit about Gwen, how she likes to use her axes. But the axe is a bit limited in its actions in the game. So there's a mod called Max Axe by Neobiotics, which allows you to get some extra features with the axe, which also gives you a special attack and also gives you the option to throw the axe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Throwing
Throw the axe.
axes.
Focus and I are rubbing our hands.
And you can pick it up. And it's a client-side mod, which doesn't require a server-side, so it can be run. And because the things being thrown are not something foreign to the client game,
Yeah.
other people will see it all the same.
Interesting, yeah.
So other people don't have to have that mod installed to be able to see it. Kind of like some other mods that don't require that, because it doesn't bring anything different into the game, just a different mechanic of something that exists.
Yeah. Which is basically the modders I work with, what they try to do is use pre-existing mechanics and just tweak them.
Like the spear, right? That's kind of what it functions like.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. It brings out the feature of throwing spears and just adds it onto the axe.
Does it do like an animation of the axe kind of
being thrown? Yes.
Nice.
There's the same thing. The same mod also works for knives. Looks cooler for axes.
Nice. Well, Tolkas, I'm guessing that one of your favorite mods is also weapon related. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I just love the two-handed sword, two-handed weapons mod that allows you to hold two weapons at the same time. Just this true Viking berserker feeling, just going crazy.
Oh, the dual wielding.
Yeah, the dual wielding, exactly.
Oh.
I've done a lot of dual wielding in Skyrim, and it was really fun. Just forget, the commentary on that one was basically forget about defense, just go in and start swinging.
There's no defense with dual wield. You just either kill or be killed.
I want to try a mod that allows me to double wield 2 shields and bash people with it. Actually use the shield as a weapon. Does that exist? Yeah. Can we do that?
Shield bashing. Yeah, that would be a thing as well.
Oh, yeah. A shield bash special attack would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
The buckler could bash.
Wondering why that doesn't exist yet now, Gwen. Thanks a lot. I'm going to be thinking about that all day like Tolkas. Well, for me, because I do so much admin stuff and building a lot of POIs and for events and things and our Season 2 server, Plan Build is one of my favorite mods. It allows me to copy an entire building or pieces of a building and create a blueprint to put somewhere. But there's a new feature from a beta version that I have where it allows me to just copy and paste an entire building or pieces of a building and put it on basically a clipboard in the game. It's one of the, like your build hammer menu. So it appears in that menu and it's called the clipboard, just like if you would copy and paste something on your desktop. So I can just quickly grab pieces and test them out, grab that, put it over there, test something without having to go through the whole thing of creating a blueprint, finding the blueprint, and then loading the blueprint. And then if you create too many blueprints, it fills up your directory and then you got to move some out. Now this copy and paste feature in the clipboard is super awesome because it doesn't clutter up my blueprints. I can just copy something, paste it, test it until I get it refined, and then I can blueprint it. So awesome mod and an awesome new feature coming soon.
Nice.
Valheim for tabletop gaming. Morning Darkness, what do you got for us?
So a feature of Valheim that we could use, and that I actually used just this last weekend, is that you can use armor stands to stand in, for NPCs. Non-player characters is what that stands for. And it's actually kind of dovetailing off of what I was saying earlier about I'm looking forward to seeing new armor coming in, because then you can have, different non-player characters having different costumes and that sort of thing. You can mix and match. You can do all kinds of different things to give someone to, at least have the illusion that they're talking to someone in the game rather than just, talking to the storyteller or the GM or whatever.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about our favorite things in game in Valheim. And this week, what are we talking about, Gwen?
We're talking about your favorite decorative item on an item stand, and it can be modded or unmodded or vanilla. So what about you, Jiroc? What's your favorite item?
Well, ever since Thorin did his little shop with the all the different hammers, his hammer shop in the marketplace, and he used the Thunderstone and the handle of something to make it look like a new hammer that was sparking and with electricity. I just fell in love. So because of Thorin, I will always love that Thunderstone, unless maybe a new biome brings new items that something even better. But that Thunderstone, I just can't get over it. Every time I see it, I want to do something decorative with it, or stick it on the end of a stick and start pounding something, hitting it over the head with it.
It looks amazing. It's the blue, the electricity animation to it is really cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Mac?
I'm a big fan of the linen cape, especially the white one. You've got your sauna type room, your hot tub, and goes really well to have a couple linen cloaks stacked up. Gives a feeling of luxury.
Yeah, I like that too. I wish it was something that you can place without needing a mod, because you can place other types of armor and things, I think. So why not the linen cape? But yeah, it looks very cool. And I use it, the same as you, as towels, sometimes as stacks of paper. If you want to have an office in the game like me and look like you've got a stack of paperwork. Yeah, it's a good one. How about you, Gotha?
I've always been a big fan of using the fire sword. I'm not going to try to say the name because I'll just butcher it. But I'm a big fan of using Dirt one.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of using that because it doesn't require any kind of fuel. It just burns on forever. Great source light. And in case of a jam, you can always pick it up and go dispatch whatever's outside the door. Even at level 1, it's not a big sword, but it's great for decoration. Makes a great sigil, my personal one. And also, for street lighting within Valheim, it's great. I've seen people do alien ships with it, like a UFO, and the fire being made just with fire swords. Because the fire swords takes a bit to load. It actually loads sequentially, so it looks like the beam is coming down from the spaceship.
Nice.
So there's some fun stuff like you can do with it.
I think, and Jiroc, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we actually used that trick for the competition build, the build for Baldur, our entry, the Asgard build, because I think the torches, the problem is after a certain distance, you don't see the fire of the torches anymore. But with the fire sword, I think you could see it from a greater distance. Yeah. And so I believe we used a few to illuminate certain buildings.
Yeah, that the light that it casts around the environment, you could see it further than the light from the illumination from the torches. So yeah, we replaced a lot of the torches with fire swords.
Probably the same principle as the Draugr that you can see across the mountains. If people are using a Draugr, you can see the Draugr just shining from far away. So probably the same thing.
Yeah.
These are both weapons. Maybe the game wants you to see them.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. How about you, Tulkas? What's your favorite decorative item on a stand?
Without a doubt, the Draugr Elite trophy. Just the glowing purple eye. It's just pretty cool. I wish you could make a character in the character editor with just one glowing eye. Or an eye patch,
Oh, an eye patch. I like that.
I know they don't want to go too crazy about customization, but I want customization, so I don't care. Please give me my eye patch.
So you look like Odin.
Yeah, just a bit more, maybe.
Well, yeah,
some accessories.
I guess a fanatical follower of Odin might gouge out one of their eyes just to wear an eye patch.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
That's, yep.
Well, wait a couple of years. Accidents happen in the industry. We'll see.
So how about you, Morning Darkness? What's your favorite decorative item?
I have to... Well, okay, so for unmodded, I have to say that the Abomination trophies are really, really fun. I love using them for different purposes. But I think my favorite thing with the modded option are the Ancient Seeds.
Oh, because of the green lights that they cast?
Yes!
They are very bright, aren't they? They're quite vibrant.
Yeah, you should check out the tree that I have made in my treehouse.
You made a tree on a tree. A tree on a tree house that's on a tree.
It's reception.
My brain hurts.
Treeception, yes.
Cool. There's so many items that I think look cool, but I think my favorite one for similar reasons would have to be the modder tier, but you can only place it with the mod, unfortunately. But I really like how, well, first, it's so nice. It's so smooth and it looks magical. And it's got this, a bit like the Frostner, it's got this kind of frozen effect around it, which is really pretty. And it glows nicely. So I really like that. The only thing that I don't quite like about it when you use you place it with a mod is that it kind of floats quite far above the item stand, which can be a bit weird sometimes, but it could be also used to your advantage, where if you want to actually hide the item stand, you could hide the item stand under a floor piece, for example, and then you would actually see the modder tier looking like it's floating above or on the ground where it should be. So yeah, it's an interesting one how some objects seem to be placed really close to the item stand and some just float above, weirdly.
But we can change that now.
Yeah, there's a setting in there so you can make it float well above or get really close.
Oh.
If you want that crystal ball floating in the air, you can do it now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I need to speak to a few of our players, maybe Bane, to build the haunted mansion in game and have Madame Leota's head in the... Oh, okay. Let me message him now.
You can probably get it to hover over a trophy head. Yeah, you have actual head in there. That would be fun. I recently, in our Great Hall, we have 2 modder tiers in the back of the hall. They're behind the throne, and I recently upscaled them twice their size. I haven't floated them, but I did make them bigger once I found that out. So, little Easter egg, if you have transformations on, you'll see when you go in there.
I'll have to have a look.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Before we close out today, we're just going to go over a couple of interesting facts about us, not Valheim related, for those listeners who stuck around to the end of the podcast, which is only about 5% of you, according to the statistics.
But those 5%.
Oh, wow. That's kind of pessimistic.
Yeah.
Gorth, why don't you start us off as one of our new co-hosts? What's an interesting fact about you?
I have this weird hobby, which is collecting 4-leaf clovers. Not just 4-leaf, but anything upwards from 4-leaf clovers.
Oh, really?
I have hundreds of them.
Oh, wow.
And it's basically just a hobby I have.
Do you then dry them out and like put them in a book or display somewhere, or just throw them into like a keepsake box?
I have books and I have stuff everywhere with 4-leaf clovers and 5s. The nicest I found was the 7 one, which I have no idea where it is.
7?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I've seen 12. It can go up real high.
I had no idea.
And I've even actually I caught a 1-leaf clover, which apparently is super rare.
Wow.
Because the genetic deficiency goes upwards, not downwards.
Oh.
So basically,
Interesting.
the clovers normally just 3-leaf clovers, and if they have a genetic deficiency, they can generate more leaves. Sometimes it can go real high, but it's never supposed to go lower.
That is an interesting factoid. I did not know that. I just, it's in pop culture. There's normal 3-leaf and the 4-leaf is the lucky one. I just assumed that was all there was. But at Googling it while you're talking about it, it says, well, at least this one site says in the Guinness Book of World Records, 56 leaves on a clover stem was discovered by somebody in Japan back in 2009. I had no idea.
It's like a bouquet.
Wow.
And the funny thing is that it's actually super simple to do it.
Is there a trick to
Yeah.
finding them?
It's the simplest trick there is.
What's that?
The human brain has been used to seeing shapes for far longer than it's been used to count numbers.
Yes.
So the problem that everyone runs into is that you try to count the leaves. There's no point. After you count 5 clovers, you're done. You don't want to count them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of counting the leaves, look for squares.
Ah, yeah.
Normally, the inside part of the leaves make like a little triangle chevron. If there's 4 leaves, it makes a square. If it's a triangle, it's 3 leaves. So just ignore the triangles, look for a square. It pops out real quick.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I actually, about a decade ago or more, when I lived back in France, there was this spot where I used to walk my dog that seemed to really have a lot of those leaved clovers. And I did the same. I had a phase where I was like, trying to spot them and collect them while the dog was just running around. And yeah, I remember finding a few that were maybe like 5 or 6 leaves, but I don't think I found any more than that. But yeah, once you get used to spotting them, you can suddenly see loads of those anomalies, and they seem to bunch up like in the same area as well. So if you find one, it's likely that you will find more.
You can actually cultivate forest leaf clovers. If you find one and dig out the roots, you can take it home. And from that root, probably more will come.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Morning Darkness, what's an interesting fact about you?
So I'm trying to remember. We skipped this section last week, right?
We might have.
Yes.
I can't remember.
So I'm not repeating myself when I say this.
No, it's okay. We could repeat.
So I play the harp.
Yeah. I know you've mentioned it somewhere before, but that's awesome. When did you learn to play the harp? How long have you been playing it?
So when I was 11, I've loved the harp since I went to a wedding and someone was playing it at a wedding. So at 5 years old, I sat completely entranced still for 2 hours watching this woman play the harp.
Oh, wow.
And by the time I was 13, I was volunteering at a animal rescue, and a woman came in looking for a dog, and I just happened to ask what she taught, and she said, I teach piano and harp. And I burst into tears, and I was like, I have wanted to play harp for my entire life. Can I have your card?
Oh,
and
wow.
so for my 13th birthday, my mom got me lessons, and we started renting a harp, and it was a lever harp. And now I own a big pedal harp and a mini lever harp for, like a Celtic harp style kind of thing.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah.
Oh, wow. It's such a beautiful instrument.
My kid gets really excited when I bring it out. He's just like,
Oh, we have to try to get you to serenade us with your harp over Discord in one of our taverns or something sometime.
It sounds really bad over microphone. Like, unless you're live, recordings of harp sound terrible.
Aw.
Just fair warning.
Yeah. Well, Gwen, how about yourself? Something interesting you'd like to share?
Well, since we're on to instruments, I could have been a great piano player should I have not given up when I was 6. But my mum played piano, so she wanted me to take lessons really early on. I was like 5, I think. And then, those first couple of years of learning, especially those classical instruments, it's all about learning the notes and just drilling that. And I absolutely hated it. So I gave up on piano, and I really regret that. But later on in my teenage years, I thought I wanted to pick up playing an instrument again, other than the recorder that everyone plays at school. And so I decided to try drumming. So for 2 years, I did drumming lessons. I quite enjoyed it. I had like an electronic drum kit at home, because a real one would have driven the whole house mad. But yeah, I stopped that after a while as well, because I was then getting into uni and I didn't have the time. And also I was learning and playing on my own. And I think it's one of those instruments where unless you're playing in a band, it's not really that fun. So yeah, that's the instrument that I tried to learn. I learned a bit. But yeah, I really like percussions, and I like in music, that's always the thing that I look out for. I love a good beat. So
did you invest in a full drum kit?
I got like a secondhand electronic drum kit because it's much smaller, it takes less space. And so because I was playing in my room, back then I was living with my parents. And also just for noise levels, because, if you get a full on drum kit in a house with lots of people plus neighbors and so on, it's just not really practical. So yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I used to play trumpet back in grade school, through junior high and part of high school. But things were going on in my life at the time that were a little chaotic, and I had to give it up. And I wish I had been able to keep playing it or something, because I just loved music and loved playing. And I was okay at it. I made it to first chair, and everybody kept challenging me to try to take over my first chair every week. Anybody who's in a band knows how that is, the challenge for the different rankings and the chairs. But I had to give it up in high school, and always wish that I had stuck with it. But 35 years later, just recently, I decided to pick up a cheap $200 trumpet, and just to see if I had any interest in it. And I put it to my mouth and started playing, and 35 years later, and I still remembered the warm-up routines. I could not believe it. I remembered all the, which order to press the buttons, and basically how to play. Didn't sound very good, of course. But I remembered it all this time later. And so I might dabble with it a little bit with the advent of YouTube. Like, you can learn to do almost anything with YouTube now. There's so many lessons to learn how to play every instrument from beginner on up to really advanced levels. And I've already started looking at some, and the only problem is time. I just don't have time. And it's something like with most instruments, you really need to put in, time almost every day. Which is what I did back when I was playing in grade school. I played it for an hour or more to 3 hours every single day, just about. I played it for about 10 or 15 minutes, sounding terrible in my garage, and my lips were buzzing for the next 3 days. So definitely don't have the muscle in the lips anymore to do it. But something fun, maybe, or maybe it'll just be something fun to pull out once in a while to remind me of the past. And Tolkas, you got any mustard to add to this hot dog?
I played I think it's called a transverse flute in English. Like a flute, but you hold it to the side.
Oh,
yeah, but I wasn't really good.
Sorry. So I know the word in French, but not in English.
I wasn't like everyone in my family at least played an instrument or learned an instrument. My father played the piano and the bass guitar. My mother, well, she's from Russia. She played violin and, of course, piano. I mean, that's just basic. That's what every Russian kid does there. And, well, my sister, my brother, they all kind of had lessons. And with me, it was just a lost cause. So it's just my father was he studied physics, and my mother was an artistic type with she played instruments. She used to sing when I was a kid, and I can do neither of both. So yeah, that's interesting about me, I guess.
Awesome. You traded in your flute for a fencing sword and learned to fence instead, huh?
I traded for the ability to talk without hesitation. I have no problem talking and keeping up a conversation, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I think our listeners are aware of that.
Are they?
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for joining me, everyone.
See you next time.
Yeah, thanks for showing up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking to the end. If you're one of the heroes, one of the 5%, we see you.
If you're there,
I think we need to drop
spoilers
or something really crazy at the very end.
Yeah, that might increase our percentage to 6%.
Yeah. Hey, yo, mother tuckers! Thanks for staying tuned, yo.
I'm gonna put that on the loop for an hour. Oh, I did want to give one quick shout out too before we sign off for good, and that's Vaste out there. Everybody, give shout out to Vaste in the comments. Please say thank you, because he's gone through all of our podcast episodes and tagged the time code with all the different subjects throughout the podcast, so you could quickly jump to whichever topic you're interested in listening to. Thank you, Vaste, for doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, freaking rock star.
Thank you.
The real MVP. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you need a doctor, let us know. Because, we're there for you.
Well, that's it for now. Have fun out there. Thank you for listening to Podheim, Jiroc's Valheim podcast. We have new episodes coming out every Friday, and if you enjoyed listening, please support us by subscribing to the podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a rating and a review to help more Vikings find us. We also have a Patreon with perks for supporters like behind-the-scenes discussions, exclusive content, and segments that are edited out of the main podcast. And if you'd like to join our friendly Discord community, we have more than 1,000 people there. Just go to discord.gg/Jiroc the Viking. If you'd like to play on my Valheim servers, just go to my website at jiroctheviking.com and submit an application. I'd like to give a huge shout out to my supporters, some of them on Patreon, the YouTube membership, and the ones who help boost our Discord server. Your support means the world to me and inspires me to make more videos, as well as run a community Discord and multiple Valheim gaming servers. If you enjoy my videos and would like to support my work, join our friendly Discord community and Valheim servers. Links can be found in the description below. Skål!